Hi, I'm Stella and welcome to my channel 30 Books, and as part of Port Fairy Literary Weekend 2021 here at the wonderful Blarney Books and Arts, I'm kind of talking to a local who just happens to be an Australian writer, Jock Serong. He's practically a household name. Thanks for your time and welcome to my channel.
Oh, thanks, Stella. It's good to be here.
And a big congratulations, because something exciting happened last night. Show the people your book.
Ooh, yes.
Your novel, The Burning Island, was launched.
It was.
Wow.
By the great Don Watson. So it was a bit of a treat. It was lovely.
So, two sentences. Give us a pitch for your book.
It's set in 1830 and it's the story of a pursuit into Bass Strait to find a missing ship.
Is there anything particular about why this ship? What?
Because the media version at the time was that the ship was lured onto the rocks by false lights and that everyone was murdered. And that probably wasn't true, but there were other reasons why the ship was there. And I want to talk about sealers and about their Aboriginal wives who were called the Tyree-law.
Wow. And as I understand it, I just learnt a couple of seconds ago, but this is kind of a sequel, is it? So show both. The first book is...
So I released Preservation, whoops, there we go, in 2018. And it's the first of what will be 3 books, Burning Island being the second, about this period of history in Bass Strait, which is a really interesting time when settlers and Aboriginal people were interacting really on the frontier.
So what is it that's interesting about the Bass Strait?
The fact that these were islands that were something of an untouched paradise, and that there was a stampede into the islands to exploit seals and to exploit other things. This was the discovery of Bass Strait by white people. Aboriginal people had known it was there for thousands of years, but Europeans had just figured it out, so it meant that a whole lot of commerce could open up in a hurry. It's like a gold rush in a completely
What about the main character in your book? The Burning Island, and was the main character also in the first book?
Well, both books chart the fortunes of a fictional family called the Greylings, who came from early Sydney. And the Burning Island's hero is Eliza Grayling, who's the daughter of Charlotte and Joshua Grayling. And she's on this boat looking for the lost ship, and she's going into an unknown world. She's a governess in Sydney, and so all of this is extremely foreign to her, but she's plucky and good.
And what sort of research do you do for is this historical fiction as such?
Yeah, it is historical fiction, and I guess the short answer is you read everything in sight. And I'm also something of a walker and an explorer, so I'd been on boats at one stage. I was on a helicopter in these islands. I walk a lot through national parks and try to get a sense of what the terrain is like so that you can render it convincingly.
Do you enjoy writing dialogue, or description? Like, I imagine in your books there'd be lots of landscape descriptions, ocean, as such.
Yeah, I love writing description and I love writing the land and the sea. Sometimes at the expense of story, and often there are exchanges between me and my editor Mandy Brett where the red pen will be move this thing along or else, and the red slash comes through the text. But you need both for the thing to work in a convincing way.
Now, you'll have to forgive me because I had thought you were a crime writer.
I don't think I really have a genre. I've definitely written crimey books. My first book, called Quota, was something of a conventional crime novel, but ever since then the novels have drifted in all sorts of directions.
Now, you're a local.
I am.
Just about, and this, so it's Blarney Books and Art, your local bookstore.
It certainly is. And it's also, for us in the town, it's a performance space, and it means that all sorts of people, from writers like me and Michelle and Nicole, who are here today, through to young kids releasing slam poetry or whatever it might be, everybody's got an opportunity to have a stage and an audience in a small town. So it's an enormously valuable resource for us.
What's it like being a writer in a small town?
Oh, I think it's great because you can work in your pyjamas.
I think you can do that in the city as well.
You can now, can't you?
Do people in this small town know who you are?
Oh, I think they look at you and go, that's the guy who's still in his pyjamas, and it's 3 p.m.
Yeah.
They have a rough idea that you're the writer guy. And there's a few of us in the town, to be fair.
Oh, is there?
There's Stephen Conti,
Oh, yes,
who
of course.
wrote the Tolstoy estate. And there are other people working away at novels as we speak.
Yeah, right. You ready for my questions?
Sort of.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
What is the last Australian book you read?
Goodness me. It was Nicole Kelly's Lament about Ned Kelly.
Which I am speaking to her on my channel. And did you just talk to her?
I did.
Yeah.
And it's a fabulous speculative take on what might have happened if the Glenrowan siege had gone a different way and the Kellys had got away. It's a great book.
So what about a book? Like, do you mainly read, when you're reading, do you kind of read because you're a writer and that's the sort of book? Do you read books similar to what you've written as in historical fiction, or, you know, do you have all these kind of, I don't know, romance books hidden away somewhere?
When I was a kid, I was obsessed with cricket and with books. And every Christmas I would get cricket books. And cricket books, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but they're often not that good.
That's because they're written by sporting people.
There are some good cricket books.
Yeah. Think of a memorable character of a book.
I'm thinking of Judge Holden in Blood Meridian. I think he's the scariest character ever written.
What? Tell me a little bit about him.
So this is a party of scalpers wandering through the desert in, I don't know, maybe modern Arizona, but back in the 1800s. And they come across a man who's 7 feet tall, entirely hairless and naked, sitting on the salt pan in the blistering heat, apparently asleep. And they wake him up and he joins their party, and he's truly terrifying.
It's Cormac McCarthy. Yeah. Speaking of which, a writer you wish you were.
Probably Cormac McCarthy.
A book you wish you had written or would like to write.
Oh, I think Wake in Fright.
Oh!
Because it's so intensely Australian without ever veering into cliche. It's scary and convincing and it's rich, and it's only, I don't know, 150 pages.
Hey, The Wake in Fright. What about the movie? How'd you go with that? Did you think the movie was a good
I'm embarrassed to
adaptation?
say I've never seen the movie, and I'm terrified that it might spoil my experience of the book.
Yeah. Did you always want to be a writer?
Yes, and I got waylaid for something like 22 years,
Having a life?
being a lawyer.
Oh, right. Then how come you aren't like writing? Anyway, I won't.
Yeah, don't go there.
Okay. Do you actually like writing? Like it?
I love it. I think there's a part of the process that is the really exhilarating part, which is that moment or moments when you're getting a story out of your head and getting it down. And you're so excited because you're telling yourself the story for the first time. But a year down the track, you might be retelling yourself the story for the 100th time and you're sick to death of it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you can admit to an audience is this thing was killing me by the time we published it.
Do you ever impress yourself as a writer?
No, I think if you're impressing yourself, you're in real bother.
Oh, no. So you've never written something and gone, oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Sometimes you get a little thrill, and then
Yeah.
you go, you're still a fool. Don't get
you
too
are.
uppity about
Writers
it.
are fools. That's right. Who do you think is the biggest bastard in literature?
Oh, there's a character called Henry Drax in Ian Maguire's The North Water, who is a little bit Judge Holden-y, so I feel like I've answered that same question in two different ways.
Yeah.
But, he's a dreadful piece of work.
Chuck Sarong, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Hold up. Congratulations once again on the launch of The Burning Island, which is the follow-up to Preservation. And when's the third one out?
I reckon this time next year.
Fantastic.
That sounded ambitious, but
Thanks for your time today.
thanks, Stella. It's been great talking to you.
Hi, I'm Stella and welcome to...